thinking about it. And we are live. Hello, 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 you guys. Welcome to another MCOY channel show. I am Ronald. We have, you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I'm Erica.
I'm Toby.
I'm Ashley.
I'm Jay. Hello.
And we just want to let you guys to know, you guys, we appreciate you. Shout out to Heidi and Mindful Skeptics. I know that they had a broadcast going on today at the same time as ours, but they took the time to stop theirs and come join ours. Also, to the subscribers, we have.
Sorry, well, so we're going to support theirs tomorrow. Heidi is doing an amazing live stream tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So let's make sure that we show Boyce, Mindful Skeptics, and Heidi a lot of love tomorrow. Thank you, guys.
Love you, Boyce.
All right, Ronald, go ahead.
Also, to our subscribers, we love you. We love you. We thank you. Oh, my gosh. You guys have no idea. We're at like 300 subscribers right now, I think. And that number could change. And so we thank you guys. We thank you guys. So we're going to start this thing off with a video. I got the audio right this time. Lovely Erica, she beat me to go ahead and get it going. So we're going to start this off with
the point of this video is to set the tone for what we're about to talk about. Obviously, the protests are continuing to happen, and we felt like this video really encompasses the state of the country in regards to the Black community. And so Jay had this amazing idea that we change what we were originally going to talk about and switch it to this. So go ahead, Ronald.
We've been doing the same thing for far too long. So this video kind of encompasses the energy that's around our community about repeating the same mistakes. So there's got to be a better way.
Because they ready to let loose.
As you can see, Ronald's Wi-Fi is comprised of toasters, but it's okay. Hey, Jeannie. It's Russia. They're hacking into our internet again.
So it's not, I don't know, it's not working. Maybe we're just not meant to share. But I think people in the chat are saying that they've seen this video. But basically, it's 3 Black guys of different generations, age groups, just frustrated that the same thing keeps happening over and over and over again, and nothing's changing. And so we need to find a better way. So maybe Ronald, just go ahead and unshare, and we'll just post the link in the description.
At this point, I'm ready to die. Oh, let me tell you something.
Yeah. Ronald got that Walmart Wi-Fi. You know. Ronald's hijacking the McDonald's Wi-Fi.
You're gonna be right here too.
That's that T-Mobile 5G.
Also got so what I need. How we doing it? It ain't working. He angry at 46. I'm angry at 31. You angry at 16. A better way.
So there's a lot going on right now.
We can just go back to it later.
It ain't working.
Yeah.
16.
All right. Well, basically, the gist of the video is there's an older gentleman. He's 45, and he's talking to this other gentleman who's 31, and he's saying, "I'm tired of this. Basically, like I've been fighting forever." And the slightly younger one that's 31, he's like, I understand your pain. You mad at 45, I'm mad at 31. He's mad at 16. But do we want him at 16 right now seeing this? Remember this moment 10 years from now when it repeats again? He needs to find a better way. So this got me thinking, why don't we, because the Yang Gang is full of innovative thinkers. So why don't we come up with a better way? Because, and I've been saying this in every discussion that I've had with my peers, that we are protesting, but it seems as though we're repeating the same methodology, because we're not making any concrete demands. There's no like timeline that we're saying this is what needs to happen, this is what needs to change. We're not trying to get to the root of the problem, which is that racism is a deeply American thing. We need to deprogram our society so that they can start seeing what's actually going on in our daily lives. So we got to come up with a better way, and that video encompasses the generations that have been dealing with this, even to this day. So
what are some better ways? What do you guys feel are ways that we can protest or get our message across and make sure our voice is heard where it actually lands and we can actually see results?
I think, I think what we're missing is like a leader. MLK and Malcolm X, they led the civil rights movement. Even though they had different ideologies, I think they both had the same intention, which was to progress the Black race and help us get our fair share in America. I think, we're missing an agenda. We're missing, policies to demand. It's like everyone is so passionate and, protesting and all of this. It's like there's so much passion and there's so much anger. It's like, let's use this anger, let's use this passion to get the policies that we want. Like,
sorry, Ashley, I was going to say, I'm going to push back a little bit, because I think waiting for a leader to come lead us is the mistake that we're making. Each and every single one of us is capable of actually being a leader. I am a teacher. You are a young, beautiful student. Toby, Jay, Ronald, and everyone in this chat, we can be leaders. We can inspire the next generation. We can find next MLK and help inspire them to want to do the change. Like, I think I'm sick of waiting for someone to come and tell me how to do things. That's why I'm grateful Dr. Jermaine Johnson's coming on. He's like, you know what? The person that's leading my district is not doing the job. I'm going to step up and I'm going to run. I feel like we're leading right now by having the conversation. People in the chat are leading by being present and hearing what we have to say. That's powerful in and of itself,
Mm-hmm. If you look at a lot of revolutions, if there's one leader, it's actually sometimes a problem. Because if we look at, okay, so a good example would be Genghis Khan. Random example, but this dude conquered Asia. That's a big chunk of land. He died, his empire gone, instant. That's like a pretty solid example of relying on one leader. Martin Luther King died, and his dream hasn't yet been realized. And then we allowed white America and the media to sanitize his image, which is what Yang was saying, how this guy was fighting for economic freedom, but we forget about that. And then we have Malcolm X. He died, and then what happened to his coalition? So I think what would be more powerful now to fix that crucial mistake that we continue to make generation after generation is having an agenda that's so powerful it transcends generations. An agenda that even when we don't have a concrete leader, people can rise up and say, okay, this is what we're still trying to accomplish. Like, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago was the 100th year anniversary of Black Wall Street, the massacre at Black Wall Street. Their agenda was, we need economic independence. And I think we need something of that note back. We need to start creating things that are ours and creating value of ourselves, creating value that's so much so that they're going to want in. That's how we start changing the tune.
So what's on the agenda? Ashley has some really good, thoughtful ideas on things that we could have on the agenda. Ashley, do you want to share those out?
Yeah. I guess I just want to touch on that. Like, I completely agree with you guys. I just wonder if, like, our visions kind of like sway, back and forth. Because I know, like, in groups, there's always like a leader to keep people focused on like the main goal. Yeah. So, I mean, I think like the problem with MLK was that he didn't have anyone to pass down his legacy to. Oftentimes you even have a president and vice president. You have a vice president so that the president can pass on his legacy to the VP if something happens to him. Mm-hmm. So I think, there is a reason why there's a leader. It doesn't mean that, people like us cannot support the leader, because people like us are very much needed. A leader cannot lead alone. Like the people like us are just as important, because without us, then the leader could not exist. Like they need us to, get the goal complete. But like, lead. Yeah, that carries a huge responsibility being a leader. So like some of the points for like my agenda, ideas that I had was that marijuana should be legal. Like that's just, point blank. After the crack epidemic, when crack got sent into Black neighborhoods and they imprisoned a lot of Black people due to possession of crack, even though, a lot of crack was planted in predominantly Black impoverished neighborhoods, weed became the new crack. And so they use weed as a way to imprison Black people. And so first off, weed needs to be legalized. Second off, anybody in jail for marijuana possession and anyone, I'd even go as far as legalizing all drugs, because I had a conversation with someone in MCOY, actually. His name is Michael. He was like, when you legalize all drugs, the drug use goes down and people are like they're more inclined to get help instead of, being in fear of going to prison. So, but first I would start off with making sure that everyone in prison for marijuana is out, like gets released from prison and their records are expunged. Third, I would pass a $1,500 UBI. And I know Andrew Yang, he ran on a $1,000 UBI, but I feel like $1,500 is needed more than ever, because a fourth of the nation is out of a job and a lot of the economy will not be recovering. And people will need this money because people are out of jobs, people are desperate. People, we see these riots now, but wait until people are starving for a few more weeks. These riots and stuff, they won't be, stopping. A fourth of the nation is out of a job. They won't be going to work the next day. So they have all the time in the world to sit there and protest and riot, which is honestly good in a sense, because, that's what keeps us from making progress, because people are pretty much, they're called we're wage slaves. We work to survive. With the UBI, it kind of is the opposite of that. So instead of working to survive and caring about how many hours you work a week, you actually like going to work because you don't have to worry about starving or your kids starving. And so, so I think a $1,500 UBI is needed more than ever. I had another one.
I was going to say, I love what you're saying. Well, I don't know if I'm for legalizing all drugs. I haven't thought about it enough to have an opinion, but that's something worth thinking about. Because I do think that rehab and mental health are things that are really, really important, and it's not changing, obviously, and it's increasing homelessness. So actually, I think that's really a cool thing to put on the table, that we, instead of locking people up, making sure that they're getting the help that they need. I will always say this, and people get annoyed and say that I'm saying this, but education. We really have to fix our education system. We have to speak truth. And I just want to give one of my coworkers a shout out. Today, we're having a conversation around the issues that are currently taking place in our country. And, she acknowledged in our meeting that she is of white privilege. And she used this opportunity to say that we have to step up. We have to do better in our education systems. We need to make sure that the kids are getting the right message, because when they're seeing their thoughts on why people are protesting, it's not accurate. And she said that we have a responsibility to make sure that the kids are not thinking that police are good and they're here to protect us without the context of the reason why they're protesting is because George Floyd was wrongfully murdered. So I think speaking truth in our education system is quite imperative. And, Michael, who obviously is a part of this channel, he said that we have to start exposing amazing Black leaders that have revolutionized the world, not just the United States, and not just link Black people to slavery and to being locked up and mass incarceration. That we need to start highlighting some of these people that have done incredible things that have completely shaped our country for the better. And I think that's to add on to Ashley's list. I absolutely have to advocate for education.
A Black man invented the traffic light.
Yep.
Like, look at that.
And
the whole world uses that.
Yep. And Katherine Johnson worked for NASA. She completely changed the face of mathematics when she started working for NASA. So there's amazing Black leaders that we can also teach in the classroom, and not just during Black History Month.
I think there are a few things that we could add to that agenda, like banning all private prisons. You should not be making money off of people's freedom. Cash bail. Yeah. That's basically saying, hey, you ain't got enough money, then you don't deserve to be free. What sense does that make? Like, I need to pay you for my freedom? That makes no sense. And on the educational front, oh my God, I'm extremely tired of our educational system. Like, it is not good. And I've gone to school in 2 different countries. I came from DR. I did freshman year in the Dominican Republic. I knew things that seniors didn't know when I got here. How does that make any sense that a third world country's secondary education is better than America's secondary education? That makes no sense. They were teaching me freaking chemistry in freshman year. Here, I learned about that shit. Oh, sorry, excuse me. I learned about that stuff junior year. So it makes no sense. But it's not just that. It's also that, like, Black history is only taught in segments. Black history is American history. It should be taught. There should be no reason that I, as a 23-year-old man, am just now learning about the massacre at Black Wall Street. There should be no reason that there are kids that don't know, that don't even know that Black people invented things that we use on a daily basis, like the traffic light. We live in a society that glorifies a certain culture and then just kind of like says, hey, but there's this one too, but it's not on the same level. Like there was a movie about 3 generations of Black women with superpowers. Got no traction whatsoever. Great movie. No, I didn't like, nobody spoke about it. So I believe that we need to start integrating Black culture, real Black culture into everything culturally, like in TV shows. Because a lot of the times they'll show a Black household or a Latino household. I'll speak on the Latino household because and there's like no Vicks anywhere. There's like actual butter in the butter container. There's never butter in the butter container. There's always like beans or something. What's going on? Like, there's no plastic covers on the couches. Who is writing these things? I'm convinced that it's white people trying to write what they think Black people or Hispanic people live like. So Netflix has actually done a great job of putting out content that's like very cultured focus.
I'm glad that you brought up Jay. Oh, sorry, Toby. Go ahead. You haven't said anything. Go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So yeah, my family, they're from Nigeria, and I know some people who, similar to DR, they learn all these things much younger, and they could graduate from high school, I would say 14, maybe 15 years old, going to university, and I'm just like, what kind of like kids these third world countries are so accelerated with what they're learning, and you have like these international universities in Ghana and other places, and I'm just like, what's going on here? Like, US, what you doing right now? And another thing I thought of too was So I'm from Maryland, and there was a Baltimore Ravens player, John Urschel. He's now at MIT, PhD, and I think mathematics. And he published a paper while he was, while he was on the Ravens, like I think in 2014 or so. And like you don't hear about things like that. Like someone like that could just come and inspire the local community and be like, hey, look, this guy, I don't know his position, but like this is a big, huge, buff, burly guy, like football, yes, but also look, this guy's a genius. And I think like mixing some of that culture and trying to like really find new innovative ways of getting our young kids into, I mean, I'm biased to STEM because I do computers, but even just any kind of like education, just really highlighting the importance of that. Like I can't state it enough. I know, Erica, you talked about it. Yeah, you talked about it, but those are just some things that I thought of and how we can sort of create a new pipeline. Really young, really early, really community based, right? Because maybe you're learning from people and you just don't relate to them. But if you have people like John Urschel, like other people, it's like, it's cool to be, academic. It's cool to go into this field, just show people options, Black entrepreneurs, Black business owners, even like Black truck drivers, like all these different occupations you wouldn't really think about if you have these people coming back like career days, not just Black History Month, but really teaching these things about the traffic light, about I forgot who it was who created like I think it was like a train lubricant, maybe Lewis Latimer. You just kind of need to have this history more often taught by people from the community.
Who was the guy with the peanut butter?
George Washington Carver.
Yeah,
that's like the guy. Yeah,
that's like the dude. They don't talk about him. What's going on?
I'm so glad that you said that, because I think going back to what we were originally talking about, leadership, like I think there's this idea that if you're Black, you have to be an athlete or an entertainer. And there's all these other professions that we can inspire kids and people to go into. And I love the fact that you said, like, I work in tech, like I'm a teacher, Ashley wants to be an architect, Joe, am I allowed to say what you do for a living? And you're on mute.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
He's a lobbyist, right? A guy like you actually the first, well, my aunt Mary was a lobbyist, and you were the first lobbyist that I know, right? For a second, I know my aunt was, but so I think there's all these other professions that we don't expose kids to. Sola, who I believe is in the chat, I mean, she's super smart. She works in, in technology, I believe. Like, she's super into mathematics. She was telling me that last night. So I think we have to make sure that we're inspiring kids that they don't just have to be athletic or athletes and entertainers. And I think that's going to help emerge new type of leadership within the community. Joe, do you want to speak on what you feel like we need to do outside of protesting so we can get the results that we want to see in the community?
Yes, and just wanted to say, good evening and apologies for getting on a little late today. But, I think, some of the actions that we can take, it's great that we have a lot of energy out there right now. There's a lot of anger, there's a lot of hurt. But, what folks are starting to make point of, and I think is very, timely, is that it's time to utilize or now galvanize and channel that energy for how we engage our nonprofits, how we're voting locally, what's our strategy, who are we surrounding ourselves with. So, I think kind of the next step, in kind of doing this all is just actually figuring out what policy do we all agree on? That's, because I think out of all of this, there's a lot of things that I guess are challenges, for our communities in a lot of different ways. So instead of trying to have a very comprehensive, expansive package that addresses all, let's start to target this thing, one slice, one bit, one step at a time. So, if the energy right now is to prioritize, whether it be police brutality and engagement, then let's work with our elected officials to come up with the policy around that. If it's around Black wealth or education, then let's use this energy to galvanize and talk about that. However, I think, if we do approach this, this moment with hey, we're going to solve everything at once, then we're not going to get anything done. And you kind of see that now a little bit with a lot of folks going out there upset, but you have folks upset for a lot of different reasons who are out there protesting. Everybody is kind of protesting their own type of fight or their own type of struggle. So I think we definitely need to, identify a plan that I think helps all. And then from there, just galvanize and then try to build momentum, off of small wins.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely two things we could do with the police. One is the demilitarization of the police, and two is make it an actual prestigious career. Stop incentivizing them to get as many tickets as possible. That makes no sense. Aren't they supposed to be trying to keep the peace, not promote criminal activity? That's like, I don't know. But definitely the demilitarization. They're way too strapped up.
Yeah, it's just like in America, it's like hard to focus on just like one or two things that need to be fixed. Like there's so much, like even healthcare, people are going bankrupt due to medical bills. Like, that's insane. People are getting their property taken because they have a health complication. In other countries, that's unheard of. Like, I have friends in the UK and friends in Germany, and they're like, America really is fucked up. Like this capitalist system, we've just allowed it to, run amok, like Yang says. There's room for, policies and socialist policies like healthcare. I think, things like healthcare, they better society. Like right now, people are still with the coronavirus. I guess a lot of people have forgotten because it's like so much going on and all the riots and stuff. Coronavirus is still going on. More than 100,000 people have died due to it. And they are scared to go to the hospital, and they're scared to get a checkup and get tests because they can't afford to go to the doctor to get a simple checkup, because simple checkups without insurance are like more than $100.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I fly to Dominican Republic to get a checkup.
Do you really?
Yeah. Well, my mom's a flight attendant, so like, it's yeah. But like, literally, all of my medical stuff is over there. An MRI in DR. Guess how much an MRI is?
How much?
$200. Here it's like 900 something for a freaking MRI. That's that gap is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Oh my God. Let me not even. Healthcare.
Go ahead, Toby.
Yeah, one thing, and Sola brought it up in the chat, and someone else also touched on it, was this thing with the tickets. I was like,
yeah, Sola.
Okay, yeah, it was you. And I was just like, wait a second. So I remember seeing the clip, I think it was John Oliver, and I've seen people talk about this in general, how you get criminalized essentially for not having enough money to pay for maybe a traffic ticket or violation. Okay, now you can't drive to go to your job that you need to get money to pay off this thing, and you get late fees. It's like the original fee might have been between $5 and $20. By the time you have late fees, it's $100. And it's like, what kind of sense does this make? Like, and that's how the municipalities are getting their money. And I'm like, that's a horrific incentive. So like, there needs to be better funding mechanisms that aren't really targeting the people who are already the most vulnerable and poor, because that just creates more things like, okay, now if you get put in jail, you also can't work and you might lose your job. And then that just starts you on that cycle of like, okay, well now essentially you're a criminal for not having enough money to pay your bills. It's really, really bad how things are set up in that way. And that would be maybe a great thing on the local level that you can do, is go to your city hall, go wherever, and just get rid of some of these like violations, or just somehow make it better, put more grace and forgiveness into them, because that's something that really affects a lot of people and just hurts people in the worst way. That's just something I had thought of.
Do you guys feel like it's going to take more than just Black voices to get the things that we need in this country?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
We had a Black president.
Yeah, I think, there's this misnomer that, that Black folks need, that somehow what we're going through is a Black folks issue. quite frankly, it's an American issue, a societal issue. I mean, it's it's American history, it's American policy, it's American tradition. What we're wrapped in is a tradition of oppressing a certain group of people. And I think there's been a lot of conversation recently around folks saying, well, what can I do? What can I do? I mean, for one, you have to acknowledge the system that we're in, and how it's oppressive across the board, and how, geez, I mean, as far as a way to attack it, it does require that that the majority within this country do some soul searching. There's nothing that minorities can do on their own, outside of necessarily rebellion, to help change what's happening here. Racism is a white folks' problem. Unfortunately, it's just that we're the ones impacted by it. But it's not something that we can free ourselves from, if you will. It's something that does require a conscience of the people, and it requires humanity of the people to kind of recognize us all as equals. And until that necessarily is the case, you're always going to have gaps in treatment and policy. So I think the more we strive towards humanity in addressing this, the more folks will see this as a human issue and not just a minority or a Black issue. But folks are taking the easy way out.
Reverend Wendy, I really love the way what you just said. Reverend Wendy, we talk all the time. If you guys don't know her, you should know her. She's amazing. She always says it has to start within, like you said, like it's a human issue. So if you don't care about it, then we're not going to get the change. And I think for me at this point with what's happening, I'm seeing the people that are silent, and I'm seeing the people that are actually like enraged about it. And to me, it speaks volumes to how it's impacting them, right? Like Martin Luther King says, it's the silence of your friends that hurts more than your enemy. And, when I'm seeing my friends just silent, it like hurts me actually. I don't want to like, are you an okay text message? I want to this is not cool. I'm out there protesting. I'm out there speaking to my boss. I want to demand justice. And that's what I kind of want to see. And I know you can't expect everybody to react the way that you want to react or whatever. I get all that stuff. But I think silence is something that is really showing where our humanity is at, to be honest. Ash, you have thoughts on it or?
I did actually. I forgot. To what Joe said, it reminded me of James Baldwin's book, The Fire That Started, or something to that effect. You could probably look it up and find it. It's like his most famous book. But yeah, he talks about like how racism isn't just like a Black issue, and he's actually, empathetic to white people. He's like, we can't all be free until white people are free from this hate, this insecurity, that if we get the freedom, that they somehow become the oppressed. Because I think that's the fear.
That's crazy.
That, if we get the freedom and we get all the opportunities that they have, and we have equality, that, they'll be the oppressed. Because, I mean, if you think about it, we came here through slavery, and I mean, I don't know how racists think, but maybe they think, we'll get revenge or something. But that's honestly not what I want. It's just, I want to live in a country where every human is treated as equal. And I don't know the mind of racists, but that's what I think.
It's really funny you said that, because Louis C.K. made a joke about that exact thing. He was like, I'm white and I'm a dude. I can go to any time in the past and be fine. I'm not going to the future though. We're gonna pay for all the stuff that we did. So I feel like that might be like something that's integrated. But I'm not white, so I can't really speak on that. Jermaine's here.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, how y'all doing this evening?
We're so excited to have you. So a part of tonight was the theme of, obviously, our theme is let's find a better way. And we feel it was appropriate to bring Dr. Jermaine Johnson on, who's running for Congress, the state, he's running for state. And to help him raise $5,000 for one, because obviously we know that you need money to be able to win an election, but two, to kind of just showcase what Black leadership looks like, and the importance of supporting Black people running for office. So we are all going to interview him, and we hope that you guys will help us raise $5,000. If you do donate, please let us know in the chat so we can give you a shout out.
Yes.
If someone in the chat that can give us a $500 donation to start it off, that would be awesome. I know it's tough time, but he's absolutely worth the investment. So Ashley's going to start off with the first question. She has the best first question. So Ashley, do you want to, Jermaine, tell everyone a little bit about yourself, and then we'll ask our question.
Oh, well, hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Jermaine Johnson. I just go by Jermaine, but everybody calls me Dr. Jermaine Johnson now all of a sudden. So well, my professional title, Dr. Jermaine Johnson, I am the former South Carolina campaign chair. Hey, Heidi, the former South Carolina campaign chair for the great guy named Andrew Yang. I was his first employed individual here in the state of South Carolina. And I was trying to do what I could best do here to connect Andrew with everybody I need to connect him with. I was super passionate about, his message and what he had going on. And I thought he was extremely underrepresented, undersupported during his race. And I think that we really didn't look into his policies enough in terms of relating them to the struggles of Black people. So, I am just a big supporter of what he's got going on and what you all have going on as well. And I think we could change some things. I'm originally born in Los Angeles, California. I moved around Southern California pretty much most of my life. I've been homeless. I've lived in motels. I've lived on the streets, lost brothers to drugs and gang violence and all that other typical, stereotypical statistic stuff. But I made it out. I went to college. I got my master's degree, and then I got my doctorate. I played professional basketball. I've been overseas. I've been all over the place. And yeah, I'm just excited to be here, man. I'm a part of my community in terms of trying to advocate and be a activist to change some things. I could have run for, pretty much any seat that I wanted to run for, but I chose to stay local because I felt like the local race would have more effect on the people in my community's everyday life. So, that is why I am here. Somebody did something?
Come on, guys, let's get this $5,000. Let's do it. Woo, Michael Kim, yes.
I think it's it's 500. But...
I know, so I'm saying $500. That's what I asked for. So yeah. $500 to get this kicked off. That's so awesome. Sorry, I got
really. Somebody did it $500. Hey,
that's bread.
Oh my God, that makes
shut down the stream. It said we're done. Shut it down. Shut it down.
All right, that's all, folks.
Shut it down. Shut it down.
Oh my God, look at this.
Yes. Let me. I'm gonna tell you before we even get started. I'm gonna tell y'all something. My campaign manager, she's from right down here in my community. And this morning when we were talking about fundraising, she said, listen, this morning we raised $1,000 in 18 minutes. And she said, Jermaine, I don't know what you have got going on, but you have some serious support and you got some serious back. And I said, man, that's not me. That is the Yang Gang. And that's the individuals that believe in what we can do and how the change that we can bring to not only this community, but to America, and we were excited. We screamed, we celebrated. And it was just a great feeling to have this morning, man. I tell you, I wish I could show you all the text that I got. She said, man, that is just awesome. Nobody has ever seen, matter of fact, the former mayor of Columbia here, Mayor Bob Coble, when he saw how many individual contributions I had, he said, man, I don't know what you're doing to get this, but this is a story in itself. The fact that I've got like 900 individual contributions, that's more than any other candidate in this state right now that's running for office. Yeah, over 900 individual contributions. So, I mean, it's unbelievable. Nobody's ever heard of a local candidate getting contributions from every single state in America, including Puerto Rico.
Wow.
Somebody donated to me from Puerto Rico.
Mi gente.
You know, I mean, it's just, it's amazing. So I'm just appreciative.
Jermaine, can we ask you questions?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. Ask the question. I'm ready to go. I just want to thank everybody out there. I'm sorry. There's the people that are watching this.
Yeah.
Really does. Ashley has a really good question to start off our interview. Okay, Ashley.
Please ask me.
All right. So with all of, that's going on in this country, all that has gone on and hasn't really stopped, with the riots, with, the poverty and mass incarceration and all of that, do you see a brighter future for African Americans in this country?
I do. And the reason why I do, and I've explained this to people multiple times, is the fact that if you think about it, so I can literally call my mother, I can call my father, I can call my in-laws, I can call my relatives and ask them, what was it like when you couldn't vote? What was it like when you couldn't eat in a restaurant? What was it like when you couldn't go certain places? It was so recent that literally our family members are still alive and can speak on it. Members like Congressman John Lewis, they are literally still in office. This man marched with Dr. King. This man did sit-ins. These people are still alive. So that means if those individuals that are still alive, like John Lewis, that means those individuals that were trying to keep us out of those restaurants are also still alive. Those people are still alive. They're still here in power. So because of that, we are not only, it's not only naive of us, but it's irresponsible of us to believe that racism would be gone right now, that things for Black Americans would be gone right now. It's irresponsible for us. So, we have to really plan and strategize, not for right now, but we have to plan and strategize for our grandchildren. We have to say, what, we're going to continue to work hard and try to change the world and try to be positive and instill hope for the future, because it's not going to be us that are going to reap the benefit of it. It's going to be our children and our grandchildren that are going to reap the benefit of it. But that's the same thing that our ancestors were saying. They knew that they weren't going to reap the benefit of it. They knew they weren't going to get everything that they were fighting for, but they were fighting for their children. They were fighting for their grandchildren. They're having a little bit better than what they had for themselves. So that's all it is. We are going to continue to fight for our children and our grandchildren, because one day we will be able to watch them to have all the rights and the privileges that we didn't get. Same thing with these elders that, remember that the video of the elder that was in the White House with Barack Obama, and she was dancing with Michelle. She never thought that would happen in her lifetime. But the fighting that she did and all the fighting that they did afforded them the opportunity to be in the White House and dance with the first Black president. These are some amazing things. And we here, sitting right here on this live stream, are fighting for that possibility for our children and our grandchildren.
I love it. Ashley, thanks for asking the question. And Jermaine, amazing answer. Toby has the next question. Toby.
You're muted, Toby.
Oh, oops, sorry. Excited you had feedback problems. So thank you, Jermaine, for coming here with us and just sharing your time. So what are some of the concerns of your Black constituents that you're addressing that haven't been addressed before by previous politicians and representatives?
Well, South Carolina is one of 4 states that does not have a hate crime legislation bill. Oh, wow. There's 4 states. There's Arkansas, there's Georgia, and we know what just happened with Ahmaud Arbery. There's Wyoming, and then there's South Carolina. So there's only 4 states without a hate crime legislation bill. So we remember back in 2015 when Dylan Roof did what he did. In South Carolina, he could not be charged with a hate crime. With the hate crime. So these are some of the things that I would be fighting for, is to get a hate crime legislation bill passed here in South Carolina, so we won't be one of the last 4 individuals without a hate crime legislation bill. We've got to change some things, because here in South Carolina, also, this is one of the things I was talking to the somebody who works with the sheriff's department about today, is the fact that the police officers here, they wear body cams. But in order to get a body cam, in order to get the footage from the body cam, you have to literally have a lawyer, and you have to have the lawyer subpoena it. So what does that do to somebody who is poor, who is going through a situation, who feels like they've been wrongfully, abused and messed with by a police officer. They cannot, they can't afford a lawyer. So that means they have to figure out, they just have to either be like, you know what, just forget it. Let me go ahead and just sweep it under the rug, or, let me go see if I can find a lawyer that will take it pro bono. No, that should not be the case. I should be able to go to the police department and say, you know what, I was wrongfully, accused of something, or I was abused, and I demand this tape so I can take it to where I need to go, and then I can get a lawyer.
And if I can just jump in there, and that's what I found like quite interesting. As we kind of move forward and we talk about exploitation, right, and how we've been kind of disenfranchised at so many different steps. You can look at our equality. It's tied to wealth inequality. If you look at, at every step, whether it be with school, whether with, what we earn from a wage standpoint, the communities we live in, the higher costs that we're exposed to, whether it be for healthcare, quality of life, insurance costs, things like that. It's just expensive to be Black. And unfortunately, we don't have resources. Black folks don't have enough resources to be Black. So I think, at every step, if we can address inequality, because you can't legislate what's in someone's heart. But in my mind, I'm thinking the closest and the best way to move towards equality is to have some sort of economic empowerment, so that at least when we're in cases when the system is trying to exploit us, we can afford representation. Yeah. At least when we're in, in cases where, we're being mistreated by police or something, we're armed with the education and knowledge to understand that the fight might not be able to, we can't win it here, but I can win it in court with this. But it's about educating at each step and ensuring that we have the resources. And I think the quicker we get to the resources, I think, it's not to say we can't say how America is going to respond to seeing Black prosperity. History shows is not good. So I think, what we should always, all right. So what what it does inform me to say is that the more economic resource or power I have at my control, the more I can ensure my liberty and equality in this society.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead, Jermaine. Go ahead.
So just to chime in on that also, what we need to do to protect some of that, what you're saying, is to ensure that gentrification does not happen, and to protect some of these communities that have been there forever. So my community has some of the highest levels of black land ownership in the country. So with that being said, but we have an aging population in my district. So when they pass on, a lot of this land, it goes unclaimed and it goes to these tax sales. And then when it gets to the tax sales, these big old developers come in, they swoop it up and they buy for pennies on the dollar. And it's going to cause gentrification in my district. So one of the things that I've been talking about proposing for my not necessarily just for my district, but for the state of South Carolina, is to create a program for these specific rural communities like this, where there's high levels of land ownership by Black people, for them to, when somebody passes on, if the kids don't necessarily claim the land, before this land goes up into a tax sale, there's a program for the community to assume ownership of this land, so that they can make sure that it stays intact and stays in the community, because these communities are majority Black. So we don't want it to go outside.
And what you're saying is something, when I was canvassing for Andrew, when I was in Crenshaw, that was one of their biggest issues. And they were saying that it's destroying their community. And they want to raise their kids in that community, but they can't keep up. They can't compete with these developers. So I'm so glad that not only do you care about that, but you have a solution. And that's why we need one more person to drop another $500 on that policy.
That same thing is happening in the Bronx and in New York too, where these developers are coming in, they're buying up these buildings that people have been living in forever, and then they're cranking up the rent. And it's like, how am I supposed to pay a 700% increase on the rent on my business? Like, it's ridiculous.
And you know what? And that's the question I actually had for Jermaine, kind of as Dr. Johnson, as he was bringing that up. So I think, it's great, for one, I'm all about, economic empowerment, obviously, and being able to, acquire property, to build wealth, things like that. But then the catch-22 there is that For some reason, being Black brings down property value. We know moving into certain communities bring down property value. And the reason we're able to always be gentrified, right? We can't gentrify a white neighborhood for some reason, is because wherever we live, for the most part, our economic value, whether it be how it's viewed outside in, is always depressed. It always keeps us down. So it's always this disadvantage where we can't catch up to our peers, of the other, complexion, because they always have a higher assessment on what their value is, whether it be in the marketplace, at their job, or even where we live. So, are there any thoughts or ideas around how there can be some sort of fairness to ensure that racism doesn't creep its way into, property value and economic aspects of it that begin to plague us as well? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, somebody just donated $500 again. But anyways.
That's Michael. He donated it before. Good job, Michael.
Wow.
Michael!
Yeah. So it's creating a specific policy that removes any of this type of biasness in terms of land and property. So we're going to have a structured, A, B, C. If the land meets this, meets this, meets this, meets this, and meets this, then it should be worth this. If it meets this, and this, then it should be worth this. Because we know, like Charleston, South Carolina, Charleston, where I went to school at, it has been extremely gentrified. I mean, they moved every Black person out of there. I mean, where I used to live on the east side of Charleston. And the east side was, it was nothing but Black people. You go down there now, and it's all white people walking their dogs and got bicycles. I mean, I'm just like, oh my, like I never saw this before. So the school and the surrounding community just bought it all up and moved them all out, and stuck them in some slums and things like that. So with a policy like what I was talking about, if it met that qualification, then that land would have already been worth whatever, worth whatever it was supposed to be set at. And they would not be able to do that. And we want to make it a strict policy to where it cannot be changed, so that once they move or sell or whatever, they can't just jack the price up or jack it all up. It needs to be a cap that where it said, all right, I'm not going to allow you to make more money off of me than I can make money off of me.
Yeah. Chime in. Somebody asked what gentrification was. Can we just discuss that?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Ashley, for bringing that. Jermaine, do you want to define what that gentrification means?
Yeah, gentrification is taking a community that is majority African American or Black or brown or whatever, and coming in there and taking advantage of the fact that the value of the land is one thing, and then you take the people that are in there and then you jack up the taxes on it so they can't afford the stuff, and then they end up assuming the ownership of the land and moving the people out of there, and then developing the land and turning it into whatever they want to turn it into, and then not allowing the people to come back into the area because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Jay, do you want to throw the next question?
Yes. Hold on. Oh, what? Before I ask the question, one of the things that I wanted to say was that it's like we're in a society where they want us to play by rules, but we were excluded when these rules were written.
Yeah.
Like, how you gonna tell me I need to do this, this, and this, but I had no say in writing these rules? It makes no sense.
Yeah, that's so true. Good point.
So, okay. So my question is, what policy is the highest priority for you once you get into office?
Oh, that's a hard one. I've got two that are really on the same level. The first one is to introduce my Palmetto Dividend Fund. And that's where, yeah, I love that one. The Palmetto Dividend Fund. If y'all haven't seen it, go check it out.
Fire.
Yeah, if y'all haven't seen it, go check it out on my website, man. Go check it out on my website, the Palmetto Dividend Fund. And that is where, because we know that most Americans cannot afford a $400 unexpected bill. So this new policy will give every South Carolinian age 18 and up a $400 check every year. So just so they can take care of that unexpected bill. So this is paid for on a local level. This is not a federal bill. So we know federally you can pretty much do what you want, which is why Andrew was talking about the UBI. But with mine, it's a local level and it can be paid for locally. So it's going to be the first of its kind all the way across the United States. Anybody else got nothing like it. So, we're going to go ahead and we're going to try it out here, and then we're going to send it out to everybody else that's in America to make sure everybody can pay for this unexpected bill that they can't afford. So that's one of the policies that I'm trying to get passed, and I've already got support for it as well. Another one that I'm trying to get done is we have a policy in South Carolina that when you're the age 85 or older, you get a 1% sales tax break. But the problem with that is the life expectancy in South Carolina is 77. The life expectancy across America is 79. So that means they technically want you to live 8 years past they expect you to live before I even give you this 1% tax break.
They don't expect you to live that long.
Exactly. We don't expect you to live that long, so I'm not giving you nothing. So we have this thing that's looking like a novelty item. So I actually want to make it work. So I want to bring that down to 70 and double it to 2%, so that our seniors who are living on these fixed incomes, because a majority of them are in my community, and make sure that they can actually live on these fixed incomes, so they'll have that dividend that I'm talking about, as well as this extra tax incentive, so that they can survive and stop having to worry about, should I eat today or should I buy my medication?
Right. We need to stop having those choices. It should, like I always say this, everyone deserves to live in dignity.
Yeah.
So my question for you, Jermaine, and you and I talk all the time. We've become really good friends. I like to think we're really good friends. So, I'm gonna give you a tough question, okay?
Give it to me.
All right. So we always say that we need more Black leaders, more Black representatives, right? But we do have Black elected officials, but they all don't step up. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anyone. What will make you a different Black elected official?
Me, I don't owe anybody any favors. So that's the difference between me and everybody else. That's the difference between me and all the people in my community. I don't owe nobody no favors. I don't have to. There's no scratch my back, I scratch your back. Now there's other individuals that are going to be running for office here that owe favors to people. It's like, all right, you help me get here, or you help me get there, or whatever. I don't owe anybody any favors. The only people I owe the Yang Gang, because they have been supporting me from day one. Also,
to be honest, that's what democracy dollars is for. Because when you give money to people, the representatives start working for the people. So like Yang and people like you, like y'all are, leading the movement.
Absolutely.
It's crazy that you gotta owe someone something to get into office.
Yeah, it's bad, man. It's bad that you have to do favors. You have to, align yourself with certain people. I don't have to align myself with anybody. I am literally running against the establishment where I'm at right now, and it's looking super positive right now. Like, you have no idea how positive it's looking right now for my race. And I'm running against the establishment right now. I'm not just running against my opponent, but I'm running against my opponent, a couple senators who are backing him, a couple, former politicians, and then I'm running against like two individuals who want me to lose because they want to be the person to take his place. So it's literally me versus everybody right now, and it's still looking good. So
hey.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's great right now. I feel great. And I don't owe anybody any favors, so I can stick to my guns. I can stick to my morals and my conscience, and I don't have to worry about compromising any of it because I don't owe anybody any favors. So I can, that's why the other day we had that I Can't Breathe rally, and I went to go speak at that rally. I don't owe nobody nothing, so I can do that. I can put my black fist in the air and say, and represent for my people. I don't have to pander or do any of that stuff. I can be who I am.
And every elected official should be able to do that. I'm sick of the favors, like, do this and do that. Like, I'm actually quite disappointed that not every elected official was on that House floor complaining and protesting with us on this injustice that has taken place. Like, they should all be on the House floor, the Senate floor, raising hell, because what happened was wrong on every human level. It was absolutely wrong. So I love the fact that you don't owe anyone favors. And, it speaks to your character, like, not to bring my dad up because I always bring him up, but like he raised me with this phrase, seek perfection of character. Yeah. And I'm actually wearing a necklace that he gave me from when I was in 5th grade. But you know, it's about being kind, being a good person, being the absolute best you can be. And I feel like our elected officials should seek perfection of character. They should always do right by the people. They're there representing us.
Yes.
You know, and it's very disappointing to see Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, and all these, you know, Donald Trump, like doing just things that hurt our humanity, that divide our country. They whip up so much hate, and it is just it's so disgusting and quite disappointing. And I hope we vote them out in November.
Yeah. I wonder if people who get into Congress come in with good intentions but get wrapped up in the corruption, because
it happens. It absolutely happens. A lot of people, that it happens to a lot of people. They come in with good intentions, and then they want to align themselves with certain people, and they have these aspirations of doing other things. And when that happens, they end up turning to the other side. As much as I love Cory Booker was taking a lot of money from pharmaceutical people. As much as I love them, but it's these are some things that happen. People align themselves with the wrong crowds and the wrong people and the wrong organizations, and then it kind of turns them, and they have to again owe those favors. So I never had any aspirations of doing that type of thing. I said, listen, I want to go as high as I can go without having to compromise my morals and integrity, to help as many people as I possibly can, to make sure that none of these new generational individuals come up and have to go through the things that I went through. That's all I've been trying to do.
You know what's the most complicated thing in my mind is the fact that a healthy society would make everybody more money. If America is about money, why if everybody was more financially prudent and knew what they were doing, and people weren't as poor, they would be making more money. So I just want to know, where is the disconnect? Are they more focused on power than they are money? Yes. Because it seems like those two things go hand in hand. But then if you really think about it, a healthy society has way more revenue.
Sorry, Jay, we got another $100 donation.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jay, but we were so close. I think we're just $1,000 away from hitting our goal. We were so close. You guys, please donate whatever you can so we can get to this goal. Okay, keep going, Jay. So I had to just give that shout out. Keep going. Heidi's like our Twitter monitor, and Ashley runs our Twitter account, so I think she's monitoring too. But keep going, Jay, because what you're saying is important. Sorry,
my aunt almost burst into my room. But yeah, it's if you look at a lot of other countries, right? A good example of this would be who's a good example of this? Japan, I guess. Japan has its issues. They have a very low birth rate for whatever reason, and amongst other things. But their government has very high streams of revenue, and it's because most of their people are living a life that is fulfilling to them. So it's like healthy societies do better. So why don't the people at the top want America to do better, even if it's a racial thing? If let's say there's a policy that affects white people in a positive way, but it also affects black people in a positive way, that's a win. It's like the Yang with the UBI funding mechanism. Yes, Jeff Bezos is gonna get $1,000, but we're getting $1 billion from him. That's a win at the end of the day. Yeah. So it's like, why aren't we striving for a healthier society? That's the question that I've been trying to figure out for the last 2-3 days, because it's like all this chaos. You're supposed to be losing money, but the Dow Jones is literally going up. I'm watching this happen. Like it makes no sense. So
we do have to we have to address mental health too. That's a huge issue. I want to loop back to Jermaine. You weren't here, but Ashley had a really cool statement when she was talking about her agenda, that we need to have a very concrete agenda that will help bring solutions. And one of the things on her agenda she feels, and I love your take on it, is how do you feel about about drugs. Actually, how did you frame your question? I don't want to mess it up. You said making sure no one can be incarcerated for drug use. What was it?
Yeah. So I had basically what I'm saying is that like we need an agenda. Like all of these protests are full of passion, or full of anger, full of rage, as they should be, because our system is broken. And I'm like, why don't we use this rage to entirely overthrow this? Well, not, fix the system for like the benefit of the people, and especially for Black people. But I feel like this agenda will basically be hope for all of humanity in this country. So like some of the things, like a few of the things on my list would be legalizing marijuana, and then another one would be releasing all prisoners who are in prison due to marijuana, and expunging their records. I would also do a $1,500 a UBI, because I know Andrew Yang ran on $1,000 a month, but these are different times. I mean, 1/4 of the nation is out of a job, and a lot of jobs won't be coming back, and especially small businesses. That's I don't know how we're going to come back from that.
So, Jermaine, how do you feel about what he's saying?
And then also ending cash bail.
Oh, and cash bail. What do you think of it?
And private prisons.
And private prisons.
Well, I think we're all on the same page with that one. I mean, it's just that the simple thing is with cash bail system, you're literally criminalizing me for being poor. So, you can't punish me for being a poor individual. It's better to be rich and guilty than poor and innocent, and these are some things that we have got to change. Also, we've got to, I went to a prison that we have here on Broad River here in South Carolina. And I met a guy that was in there. He said he was in there he's in there for 37 years for selling marijuana.
Wow.
37 years.
We can't even lock up these officers.
37 years.
Seriously?
I said, there's no way. No way. 37 years for selling marijuana. And I felt so bad for this guy, man. I said, this is absolutely ridiculous, especially when it's legal in other states. And it's legal in using it medicinally. And it's legal. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous that, if you look, there's certain pictures that are going around the internet where from out of California, there's lines all the way around the corner, like they're packed out bidders to get these marijuana dispensary licenses, and it's all white people. It's like, man, so they can get this stuff, but the Black people, they in jail for 37 years for doing the same thing. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I think that it's something that we need to change. I absolutely 100% agree that we need to legalize marijuana. We need to expunge their records. We need to give them some parting money to help them get back on their feet and rehabilitate whatever they need in terms of training, because they have transferable skills. I mean, these guys, they can sell cars. They can pretty much sell water to a well. I mean, these guys are good. So we need to be able to invest in these people. This is the workforce that we need.
The modern day prison system is literally slavery. You have to be in prison,
that's
and
that's what the 13th Amendment is about.
Yeah,
that's what it's about. It's legalized slavery inside prisons. You are a slave in prison. So that's why that 13th Amendment needs to be changed, because you are literally a slave.
Because we're all about educating people, must watch videos for people that haven't seen it. The Central Park 5 movie, 13.
The limited series.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Roots. I suggest everyone watches Roots. And then we have 13th, and what other movies are specific? Roots is that's about slavery. It's not really about incarceration, but everyone should watch it. What's another movie that you guys feel like people should watch just to kind of get information? Oh no, I know. The one that Jay-Z produced about the one boy from New York that ended up committing suicide. Gosh, and my students just did a paper on him. He was blinking. He was incarcerated for stealing a backpack.
It's something Browder. Browder, I think. Yeah.
Browder, the Khalid Browder story. It's on Netflix. Everyone should watch that. Yeah. Oh my God. Like that is like a must, because I think that kind of helps paint the picture of why we're out there protesting, why we're advocating, why we're on this live stream talking about it, why we need to give Jermaine another $500 so you get into office. You know, it's really, really important that we promote these movies. I love Ava. I think she's amazing.
Hey, boys,
yes, I love
boys,
Ava.
if you're listening, I had a live debate on what's today? Is today Tuesday? I had a live debate yesterday with the individual. However, the individual, my opponent, decided not to show up for our live debate with the NAACP.
Wow!
But he decided to send his daughter to debate me instead.
Wow!
So, I mean, I will be posting that video because they're cutting the video up because it was 3 different debates that were going on, and mine was one of them. And they are cutting those videos up, and I will be posting those videos to my Twitter and to Facebook and all that stuff, and you can see what I did to them. So just so you know.
When you know your stuff is lethal.
Yeah, they
you know.
Yeah, they knew he knew what was gonna happen if he showed up. So you know.
Yo, debating the Yang Gang is a tough task. We got data on our side. Oh my God! Like I've gotten into debates with people from both sides, and it's like they glitch, they get stuck. It's like what? Yeah. Like.
Do you have another question that you want to ask Jermaine? Technology tools, maybe. I'm just kind of like.
Well, I see this question here about what's the biggest challenge
that
I'm facing. The biggest challenge I'm facing is the fact that I'm young and I need to get in front of some of these seniors that are in my community. I'm a big social media guy because I'm young, you know, but the seniors that we have in my community, we are literally in the midst of expanding our broadband access in my community. There's about 7,000 people that don't have access to broadband internet in my area. And obviously, you know, we have a lot of seniors that don't utilize it. So they're still into the method of face-to-face, town halls, letters, and, you know, door knocking and all that type of stuff. And you can't knock on doors with seniors right now during this COVID-19 stuff. So I can't get in front of anybody. So it's hard. So we've been doing a lot of phone banking, text banking. I've sent out the mailers, and I've just been dominating social media. So it's just, you know, it's been pretty much that aspect. But the roughest time, the hardest time is literally just trying to figure out how to get in front of people so that they can see me. You know, my supporters, they've all said the same thing. They're like, man, listen, Jermaine, if we could just get you in front of some people, like they said, it wouldn't even be a race. They said, if we could just get you in front of some people, it wouldn't even be a competition. But that's the hard part, is just getting in front of people.
What about door hangers? Have you tried those? Like,
yeah. So today I have all these. I wish I don't have any here with me right now. But today I've been riding around on my bicycle. I've got a mountain bike. And I've been riding through the neighborhoods with after I cut up some turfs with the boat builder, and just been putting my flyers on people's mailboxes. So, you know, I just been going through and doing that. I did that for like 4 hours a day, and it was hot, 80 degrees, and I just been out there and talking, seeing people outside. And the good thing, I mean, I did it with a smile on, because I ran into a couple of seniors while I was out there. They were outside working in their yard. And the lady, she was like, yeah, and who are you? And I said, I'm Dr. Jermaine Johnson. Oh, I just voted for you. And she said, me and my daughter. I was like, yes.
Nice.
What does it feel like to have your name on a ballot? Like, what does that feel like?
It is the most amazing. I haven't voted for myself yet because I might cry, but it's the most amazing, humbling feeling to be like out to. I mean, I see my son. I got up this morning, I drove around, and I've got these new signs that are out now with my face on them. And I was like, man, I'm riding around, you know, this community, and my face is all over the place, and people know who you are. And, you know, they're just saying that you give them hope and inspiration. And I mean, it is, you have no idea what that feels like to be an inspiration, just to sit here with you all, to be an inspiration and sit around with some of you all, and you all, oh man, it's Dr. Jermaine Johnson. You have no idea what it's like to come from literally sleeping in a motel and nobody wanting to be around you, and nobody wanting to talk to you, and nobody wanting to deal with you, and teachers telling you you're not going to be nothing, and people telling you you're never going to succeed, and people saying that, you know, you'll be lucky if you live to this, or you're going to die, or, you know, all those different things, people counting me out. To go from that to being Dr. Jermaine Johnson and seeing your face plastered everywhere in your community, and people telling you that you're an inspiration. Like when I did my the debate the other night, and I was talking about all the stuff. I just talked to the president today. He said, "Man, I had no idea about your personal story. I had no idea." And oh my God, that just, you know, and to hear people, and it's like all that, you know, I have the newspaper wants to do another story. I mean, I had like 3 different interviews with with the state newspaper, and they're just like, "Listen, we just can't get enough of this story." So I mean, it's just
awesome.
It's amazing.
What are the demographics like in the area you're running for?
It's pretty much 50-50 black and white. So you've got like, it's like 48, and then like a little bit of a sprinkle of everything else. Like a quarter of my district is over the age of 55, I think.
Okay.
And it's just, you know, it's really rural area. Lots of trees and not a lot of infrastructure and stuff like that. So, you know, it's pretty much set up like that.
Okay.
I feel like you're a hit with the grandmas.
Listen, I am. My wife,
I get that vibe from you. Like,
my wife, she said, "Listen, for some reason, women who are over the age of 50 love me, and I don't know why."
it's because you're like intelligent, so it's, you know, it's the eloquence.
My wife always tells me, "Don't you leave me for nobody." I know you love them. So
Joe,
like, wow.
Joe probably does one with grandmas too, right, Joe?
Yeah, buddy.
So, what's your paid media strategy?
My media strategy, my online paid media strategy is, you know, it's literally just lots of boosting ads on Facebook, and just targeting all of them to our specific area. So we also have a commercial that's running in my district. And we've got banner ads that are like the geo-targeting. So whenever anybody comes to our district and they get on the internet, they're gonna see my ad coming across his screen. So I mean, we've got all that. So they're seeing my face. If they open up their phone, they're seeing my face. So I think our commercial is actually performing like 2% higher than their average. So I mean, people are watching my ad all the way through. They're seeing my commercial all the way through. Okay. So pretty much just boosting stuff. I mean, I can always use more, but you know, we're doing it the best we can.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Jermaine, for coming on the show today. You guys, we are going to end now. I think we're close to the $5,000 goal. I'm pretty sure we'll hit it in the next hour or so.
Oh my God.
I think it's just for all the money just to come in. But you guys, thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. It's so important that we address these things and not just talk about them, but be solution oriented, goal driven, and uplift each other. We are all equal. We all deserve to live in dignity. Mm-hmm. Does anyone have any parting words before we end this episode? Besides like and subscribe.
yeah. Please do that.
And follow Ashley. What's the Twitter account? Because Ashley runs the Twitter account.
Yes. So yeah, my personal account got suspended. So if you like hearing, you know, political not arguments, I don't do that anymore. But if you like seeing political statements or whatever, just go to MCOY, MCOY.org, and we update you guys like on the channel and like when we go live, and we do a lot of stuff. So yeah, please do that.
We will be streaming on Friday. We will be streaming on Friday, so please tune in. And then next Tuesday, I'm so excited about this. We're going to do a really dope episode where we're going to do the first half with Black females to get the Black female perspective. And then the girls are going to jump off, and then the Black males are going to do their conversation. And then we're going to do the Black female and male perspective. We hope that you come. It's going to be fire. And I think it's going to be a way for us to go deeper in our own experiences and to kind of like show the struggle from the gender perspective. And so we hope that you guys can tune in next Tuesday. And then this Friday, we're obviously streaming. So thank you guys. Thank you, Jermaine. Please donate. We were like, I think $400 or $500 away from hitting this $5,000 goal.
Wow.
Andrew, you watched last time. You're watching this time. Tweet out. So thank you guys. Have a wonderful evening, and we will see you next time. Thanks, Jermaine. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Good conversation.
Let's see if Ronald ends it though.
It's like
I think
And